remember that when you're designing graphics or when you're marketing, you always have to answer 4 questions. And depending on how well you address these questions will dictate how successful your campaign is. So the first thing is most people want to know, what are you selling? What is it that you're offering? What do you got to sell? You know, what are you trying to sell me is usually the first scenario. What are you trying to sell me? And you know, so you need to put together that high ROI offer. You need to have something of high value, whatever it is that you're promoting. So you need to communicate in such a way that it appears to them that there is value in what you're promoting. It may not necessarily be on the vehicle, but it certainly will be on the website or wherever you're sending them, or in the communication later on. The second part of it is people are going to look at that and say, okay, what does it cost? What does it cost for this thing? Is that good value or is it not? And then the third, they're going to go, why should I believe what you say? So why should I believe you? So you're telling me that you're going to do this, why should I believe you? So you need to create an air of believability, and a lot of people will do that with testimonials, etc. And a lot of that is done on your website. But it needs to be in place. Even though we're talking about vehicle graphics, these things need to be in place. Vehicle graphics on its own cannot be successful unless you have a back end to support it, whether it's when somebody picks up the phone or when they actually go to the website. So you cannot ignore this stuff. So vehicle graphics on its own, again, is just graphics, it's just teasers. Right? So after you've convinced them, why should I believe what you say? The next one is, okay, what happens if something goes wrong? So what happens if all else fails? What's the warranty? What's my recourse if something goes wrong? So you always have to remember that people are concerned. Okay, now I bought into what you had to sell. I think it's a great investment or a great value, and yeah, it sounds pretty believable. You outline a strategy, but you know what? Heaven forbid if something went wrong. Okay, how am I covered? So you need to look at a warranty program or something that basically says to them, look, if you do this, this, and this, don't worry. If all else fails, we got you covered. There's a return policy, etc. And you see a lot of that done now with 90-day warranty or 6 months or money-back guarantee or certain things. But again, you need to cover a lot of these things in your marketing or on your website or somehow. Okay, now that I've gone through all this great information and you have all the tools and you have the resources that you can now intelligently start to discuss your vehicle graphics, in a lot of cases, here's where most companies or where most people will actually fail. So they know what they want, they've gone together, they put together a strategy, they've discussed it with their vehicle graphics company, they've worked with a designer, and ultimately they've created a message and they've come up with a graphic, and they get the first mock-up from the designer and they look at it and the designer says, yes, we've covered off, here's what you're trying to achieve, and here's what we've put together, and here's why we've put it together, and here's what we think will work, and they submit it to the person. And so they look at it, they make some comments on it, they go back and forth, they refine it a little bit, and then they get to the final step or the second step and they said, you know what, I want to show it to my brother-in-law or my cousin or my friend or sister or wife and get their input on it. And so off they go with the graphics, and they've got this design that they've worked, in many cases for weeks on with the design. They've gone through this whole process of what it is they're trying to achieve, and they put it in front of somebody and they basically say, oh, give me your feedback on this, what do you think? And the person will look at it and go, oh, well, I don't like this, or yeah, what about this, or I don't. And they look at that information and they take that information, they'll come back to the company and they short circuit that entire process, that logical process that they've gone through to try and get to that point. And without even questioning the process, they will now take that information and says, you know what, my wife thinks we should do this, or my wife thinks we should do that, or my brother-in-law is a designer and he says we should do this. And so now you get to a point where, you've worked together with somebody to put this together. It's consistent with what you need to do to brand and marketing, but you've gone to somebody who has no information, has no idea what you're really trying to accomplish, and they've basically given you their feedback, and you're going to take that and you're going to actually use that feedback to make changes to your graphics. How silly is that? I mean, I understand the need to get approval because that's the way most people do things, but you cannot, it's not fair to the other person to just put that in front of them and say, hey, give me your feedback on it. Marketing, design, vehicle graphics, any type of design, any type of marketing message should not be something that everybody looks at and say, I love that. You know, if everybody likes it, then you've got a problem. There's something wrong in your design or your graphic. What you want, in some cases, very polarized. So you're looking at, you know, when they look at it, you don't want everybody to like your graphics, or everybody, it doesn't need to appeal to everyone. What it needs to appeal to is a very focused, very specific, targeted group, and that better be the group that you're targeting, or your potential client. And if it is, then you've got a winner. Everybody else outside the two, you don't want them in there. You're sorting. It's a basic sorting process, but it's laser focused at that person who's going to look at it, and when they see it, they say, you know what, that's the company for me. That's what you want. So if you're showing it to your brother-in-law and you're showing it to your sister or friend, and you're not getting that feedback, you need to ask yourself, is that the target client that I'm targeting? Is that the potential? Are they part of my target demographic? If they are, then maybe you may want to look at that. But if they're not, then you want to basically take that information and discard it. It's of no use to you for your particular marketing. So don't fall into that trap. We have lots of clients that I've worked with personally who've fallen into that trap, and at the end of the day, the client always wins. So we give the client what they want. But as I said when we started out, most of the best designs sometimes are still on the computer. Most of the best wraps are still never end up on actual vehicles. Most of the most powerful marketing messages never end up on vehicles because business owners or entrepreneurs don't understand the marketing process. So once you choose your designer, and once it makes sense and you know they understand marketing, then you need to put your faith in them, give them the opportunity, work with them, understand, ask lots of questions, you want to test things, etc. But ultimately you want to work with them on that process if it's all about marketing. Again, all the best to you in your vehicle graphics marketing. And before you go, I put together some resources, some tools that really are designed to help you with this entire process. So I've covered a number of topics, but these tools are actually, I put together a framework that will allow you from step 1 to 10 to actually design and put together successful vehicle graphics marketing campaigns. So it's basically a vehicle graphics marketing campaign system, and basically it comprises of a number of things. It comprises of a worksheet that will allow you to basically come up with your marketing message, come up with that irresistible offer, and craft it and understand who your target customer is. There's another worksheet that will actually help you go through your resources, what you have, and that will be used with the designer to help to design the actual graphic. The third is actually a video that it basically takes all the things that I do in my one-on-one consultation with clients. I spend a couple of hours with clients to actually craft and market a message. I ask very pointed questions, we discuss specific topics, and at the end of the day, we end up with something that's very effective. We end up with a marketing message, again, that's going to be used on their vehicle graphics, but can be used for other marketing programs they have. So I put that together for you as a video. You have access to that now, and you can go through that whole framework and actually as if you have me in front of you, basically going through that same interview process. In addition, I've put together some resources for you that will actually help you to, if you're looking for graphics online, there's resources to help you with sites to get templates, etc. There's a whole wealth of different resources in there to help for that process. There's also some resources to help with marketing if you just want to understand marketing more.